The City of Playford is home to over 15,000 dogs and cats, and we want to make sure they are safe, healthy, happy and able to be returned to you and your family should they ever get lost.
If you have a dog or cat and you've recently moved or changed emergency contacts, you'll need to update your details on Dogs and Cats Online.
Take the opportunity to check and make sure your details and your pets are correct at dogsandcatsonline.com.au.
The new My Playford mobile app is here. You can now stay up to date with the latest council news and info, set bin reminders, make online payments and send through your customer requests all in one place and at the touch of a button.
Download the free My Playford app today for your iPhone or Android device. COVID-19 has been a difficult time for us all, and the health and safety of our community is our first priority. As a council, we want you to know we are still here and doing our best to continue delivering services to you.
Our website outlines all the latest information about facilities, programs and services. Just visit playford.sa.gov.au. Located in Monopara, the Stratton Centre is here to support business and training opportunities. Our rooms can easily be transformed to host your next event, whether it be an all-day workshop, training session, planning day or meeting.
The centre offers access to free on-site parking, public transport and is nearby a shopping and restaurant precinct. Contact our friendly team for a tour of the venue or book a space now on 8254 4666.
To find out more, visit strattoncentre.com.au.
Is it time to do a big clean-up around the house? We can help get rid of your unwanted items with a hard waste collection. You can book Norma to pick it up from your front yard, up to 2 times per financial year, or you can choose a voucher and take it to Norma yourself. They'll even lend you a trailer for free.
To make a booking, call Norma on 8259 2100. Feedback about our city's future from our community is really important. It helps us prioritise your needs when planning projects, services and other initiatives.
A convenient way to have your say and stay in the loop on any upcoming consultations is by registering your details on our Engagement Hub website at playford.engagementhub.com.au.
We look forward to hearing from you. Did you know you can view your rates notice online at Playford Online Services? Simply register for an online account by visiting our website at playford.sa.gov.au and searching Playford Online Services. Once you've registered, you can request to have your rates notice delivered to your device or computer.
Prefer to watch and learn? We have created some simple videos to show you how to register for an account, view your rates notices and set up direct debit. Simply search for Playford Online Services via the Playford website for more information. That website again, playford.sa.gov.au. Want to know what's happening in the community? Subscribe to our fortnightly e-newsletter, Playford News, at playford.sa.gov.au and you'll be on top of stories, news and what's happening in Playford. It's local news for local people. The City of Playford is home to over 15,000 dogs and cats, and we want to make sure they are safe, healthy, happy and able to be returned to you and your family should they ever get lost.
If you have a dog or cat and you've recently moved or changed emergency contacts, you'll need to update your details on Dogs and Cats Online.
Take the opportunity to check and make sure your details and your pets are correct at dogsandcatsonline.com.au.
The new My Playford mobile app is here. You can now stay up to date with the latest council news and info, set bin reminders, make online payments and send through your customer requests all in one place and at the touch of a button.
Download the free My Playford app today for your iPhone or Android device. COVID-19 has been a difficult time for us all, and the health and safety of our community is our first priority. As a council, we want you to know we are still here and doing our best to continue delivering services to you.
Our website outlines all the latest information about facilities, programs and services. Just visit playford.sa.gov.au. Located in Monopara, the Stratton Centre is here to support business and training opportunities. Our rooms can easily be transformed to host your next event, whether it be an all-day workshop, training session, planning day or meeting.
The centre offers access to free on-site parking, public transport and is nearby a shopping and restaurant precinct. Contact our friendly team for a tour of the venue or book a space now on 8254 4666.
To find out more, visit strattoncentre.com.au.
Is it time to do a big clean-up around the house? We can help get rid of your unwanted items with a hard waste collection. You can book Norma to pick it up from your front yard, up to 2 times per financial year, or you can choose a voucher and take it to Norma yourself. They'll even lend you a trailer for free.
To make a booking, call Norma on 8259 2100. Feedback about our city's future from our community is really important. It helps us prioritise your needs when planning projects, services and other initiatives.
A convenient way to have your say and stay in the loop on any upcoming consultations is by registering your details on our Engagement Hub website at playford.engagementhub.com.au.
We look forward to hearing from you. Did you know you can view your rates notice online at Playford Online Services? Simply register for an online account by visiting our website at playford.sa.gov.au and searching Playford Online Services. Once you've registered, you can request to have your rates notice delivered to your device or computer.
Prefer to watch and learn? We have created some simple videos to show you how to register for an account, view your rates notices and set up direct debit. Simply search for Playford Online Services via the Playford website for more information. That website again, playford.sa.gov.au. Want to know what's happening in the community? Subscribe to our fortnightly e-newsletter, Playford News, at playford.sa.gov.au and you'll be on top of stories, news and what's happening in Playford. It's local news for local people. The City of Playford is home to over 15,000 dogs and cats, and we want to make sure they are safe, healthy, happy and able to be returned to you and your family should they ever get lost.
If you have a dog or cat and you've recently moved or changed emergency contacts, you'll need to update your details on Dogs and Cats Online.
Take the opportunity to check and make sure your details and your pets are correct at dogsandcatsonline.com.au.
The new My Playford mobile app is here. You can now stay up to date with the latest council news and info, set bin reminders, make online payments and send through your customer requests all in one place and at the touch of a button.
Download the free My Playford app today for your iPhone or Android device. COVID-19 has been a difficult time for us all, and the health and safety of our community is our first priority. As a council, we want you to know we are still here and doing our best to continue delivering services to you.
Our website outlines all the latest information about facilities, programs and services. Just visit playford.sa.gov.au. Located in Monopara, the Stratton Centre is here to support business and training opportunities. Our rooms can easily be transformed to host your next event, whether it be an all-day workshop, training session, planning day or meeting.
The centre offers access to free on-site parking, public transport and is nearby a shopping and restaurant precinct. Contact our friendly team for a tour of the venue or book a space now on 8254 4666.
To find out more, visit strattoncentre.com.au.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for His Worship the Mayor?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Welcome to tonight's Ordinary Council meeting, and I will open the meeting at 7:05, and I'll call for apologies. I don't believe we have any apologies, as we do have Councillor Marsh and Councillor Coppins on Zoom. They're logged in and ready to go. Yes, they are. So we'll move on to confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting held on the 27th of October 2020. Be confirmed as a true and accurate record of proceedings. Moved by Councillor Antoulis.
Yes, I confirm. Thank you.
Do you wish to speak?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Does that find a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Small-Smith.
I don't wish to speak, thank you.
Wish to speak. Are there any additions, amendments or clarifications on the minutes? If there are not, then I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Move to item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any? No. We move to item 4, Mayor's report. Items are on the screen, a number of different events throughout the month, but as you know, COVID on, COVID off again has put a lot of these things on and off. But it was fantastic to attend the Playford 10 Nurture Kit celebration with the Elizabeth Grove and Elizabeth Vale Primary School, where the students have been making some nurture kits for medical and hospital staff across the Calvary network, particularly in a very trying year with COVID. So I know that the medical and nursing and cleaners and others were very excited to get little notes and gifts from the students at Elizabeth Grove and Elizabeth Vale Primary School, and also to learn a little bit about what those healthcare professionals and others do in our health system. So that was great. And a number of other items on the screen. And probably one I would like to mention is the bin shift project at Elizabeth Grove Primary School, where a bunch of Year 6 students have been working quite diligently in doing 6 different bins in terms of recycling, and have diverted about 86-87% of their waste going into landfill from the school. So it's been a fantastic project that the school has initiated with part of the bin shift movement, and that will now look to be spread across other areas of the state. So it's fantastic that our local schools are leading the way. The rest of the items are there. So we'll move on to item 5, reports of representatives of council on other organisations. Are there any? No. We move on to reports by councillors. The first item is years of service presentation. So councillors, we have 2 presentations this evening, which we'll have to do with our 1.5 metre distancing, etc. So when I call out the relevant councillor's name, if they can come forward, we do have Kate, who'll be taking some photos for us, and we've decided this time for the photo inside the horseshoe facing that way, so that the flags can be seen behind the councillors. So for the first councillor, for 35 years of combined dedicated service within local government, from the City of Elizabeth and the City of Playford from May 1981 to November 2006, and the City of Playford from November 2010 to June 2020, is Deputy Mayor Marilyn Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I can just put that there. Well, it's certainly been a journey. I would never have imagined in 1981, when I was asked by a couple of Elizabeth councillors if I would like to take up a casual vacancy, and brings it to the forefront of your mind when one of our current councillors looked up at me very sweetly tonight and said, "Oh my goodness, I wasn't even born then." So I think that brings it down to a whole load of realisation. It's been an enormous journey. I was privileged to join the City of Elizabeth in 1981, and that was when the city, I think, had about 10 or 12,000 people to come forward today to the City of Playford, where we've got 120-odd thousand people. There's been some really great times, there's been some really trying times, none the least of which is the last couple of years. But one of the most incredible times on local government, I think, was at the time of the amalgamation process. And there'll be one or two of us, Councillor Ryan and Councillor Smallwood-Smith will remember this, that it was indeed very, very traumatic. The rather reluctant amalgamation of various councils, despite being called euphemistically the voluntary amalgamation process, it was in fact arbitrary. And needless to say, there were several councils, including the City of Elizabeth and the City of Manapara, that just didn't want to do it. They were both happy in their own circumstances and certainly didn't want to amalgamate. And the following 2 terms of the City of Playford were absolutely horrendous, and I think Councillor Ryan will back me up on that. Councillor Smallwood-Smith joined us again later, and Councillor Craig, I think you were with us at that time as well, and you will remember what it was like. But it's been, I feel very privileged and very honoured to have taken that journey with the city that I dearly love, and have lived here since 1958, and hopefully for another few years yet. So to each and every one of you, I commend your endeavours with local government, and stick with it, folks, because it really does bring rewards. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Baker, and thank you for your ongoing service. Next councillor to receive their Certificate of Years of Service is Councillor Andrew Craig, in recognition of 20 years of continuous dedicated service within the local government of the City of Playford from May 2000 to May 2020.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor, councillors. It's been an honour and a joy and a privilege to serve these 20 years plus now, and along with some of you and with you all now together. It's still a joy. I'm still enjoying it. We've always had our challenges, like Deputy Mayor Baker has shared, and I was looking back at some old photos, and I looked a lot younger back then. But it's great to be part of the team that's making a difference, and all of you, especially you new ones, relatively new ones as well, that we can all work together. I think there's a bright future ahead. We're seeing lots of development and growth in Playford, and we're thriving as a city, and I think it's in part due to your endeavours and of course the staff. I've seen numbers of mayors and CEOs and staff over the years, as well as fellow councillors who've all done a good job, and it's just great to be a part of this team that is making a difference, and we can all work together to do some good work in the future, I'm sure. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Craig, for your dedication and ongoing service. We move on to reports by councillors. Are there anyone wishing to speak? I presume most people have handed theirs in, but is there anyone wishing to add anything? Councillor Halls, then Councillor Kerrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to bring to the Chamber's attention the passing of Margaret Sharon Haywood, born 1946 in Elizabeth, and she passed away on the 31st of October 2020. She emigrated to New Zealand for a while and returned in 1985 with the family. She had 4 children at then age 10, 9 and 7 that she was alone to raise. She when she returned, she enrolled as a cub leader in the Scouts, and she was active for a few years with that. She became a volunteer with Comrec Australia, who was part of our council at that time, assisting with their programs for the disabled. She served with the State Emergency Service for over 14 years. During her SES years, Margaret attended the Parawest Adult Campus to further her education. She joined the Playford Greening and Landcare Group in 1997 and had been active as a member and holding the vice chair for 5 years. She served on various other council projects which were ongoing. She was one of the original members of the Playford Christmas pageant from 2003 until this year. She was a frontiersman for SA Command Legion Cadets and participated in the Shorebirds Trail and Thompson Beach. Margaret had been active in our community for as long as I've known her, and so she was a member of the Elizabeth Greening Volunteers and assisted with United Way selling candles and programs for their carols on the Green, which after that year they were followed by the Lions Club of Elizabeth, where their carols were as in Fremont Park, until the Lions passed it over to Interchurch Council. So despite all of her health problems over the years, Margaret has volunteered in this in our community. And she, in 2014, she was nominated by Friends as Citizen of the Year, and she actually got Citizen of the Year in 2014. So I would like to just mention that she is a great loss to this community, and there are a lot of members of our community who are around her age and having her difficulties. And I think that we need to get their history before it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Halls. Councillor Smallwood-Smith.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to add that Councillor Anya Zanz and I joined together for these community engagements at the shopping centres, and I think we completed 9 in all, and I believe that they were absolutely fantastic. We had a number of people come and speak to us, and we were able to help a lot of them with issues, so it was well worth it. And I would maybe suggest that other councillors might look at doing that in their own area, because it's a really good way to get out and about and meet the people and find out what their needs are, because we don't always get to do that, and it was very encouraging. Thank you.
Councillor Garrison.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Lockheedy. Yeah, tonight I'd like to mention the passing of a well-respected, loved, valued resident of One Tree Hill, Lance Walter. Lance was a very devoted community member and served the community in many ways. He was an employee of Manapara Council for many years prior to the amalgamation and becoming City of Playford. He was a founding member of the One Tree Hill CFS in 1960, serving as captain of the brigade from 1961 until 1981, so 20 years, and the longest serving member. He served many community groups, including the One Tree Hill Cricket Club and the One Tree Hill Progress Association, to which he was awarded life memberships. In his latter years as a solid member of the One Tree Hill Senior Citizens Club, Lance is survived by his wife of 74 years, Hazel, who is also a life member of the One Tree Hill Progress Association. She volunteered as One Tree Hill Hall Coordinator and Cleaner for many, many years. Thank you, Lance and Hazel, for your commitment and service to our community. I wish to express my condolences to Hazel and the family in the passing of Lance, and Lance is recognised as many as a local legend and the unofficial Mayor of One Tree Hill.
Councillor Marsh.
Yeah, thanks for that. I just wanted to do a recognition of the Manapara Little Athletics that just recently had some vandalism done to their premise in the result of a ride-on lawnmower being stolen, set alight, and this was some 3 to 4 days prior to a very large carnival. One of recognition to Emmett, who are based out of Roseworthy, who very kindly, after much attention by the media and the local radio stations, actually donated within 24 hours of them hearing a free ride-on lawnmower to the Manapara Little Athletic Centre to ensure that their grounds would be kept neat and tidy for the upcoming carnival, and further to that, have provided some further assistance with free servicing, free insurance, and they will be replacing the ride-on lawnmower every 2 years going forwards. So for a locally, not too far from us, family-orientated business who took action within 24 hours like to just give appreciation because that was a really big reward for Manapara Athletics. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor on your hands.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to add with what Councillor Smallwood-Smith have already mentioned to us. So yes, we have indeed 9 good community engagements in our ward, and we have made ourselves available for 2 hours in the shopping centres. The residents were able to express their priorities in their area, and I think that community ownership was highlighted pretty much in their interactions with us.
Any other councillors? Councillor Halls?
Sorry, I do have another acknowledgement that I don't have a lot of information about, but I would like to acknowledge the passing of Ian Duncan, who was a member of our community. He was one of the members of the Peachy Residents Association, which was on for many years and looked after the Davern Park area, and joined with this council to make it a better place for people to live over there. He was also part of the Playford Christmas pageant for many years before he became unwell and was no longer able to help out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. There's no further councillors. Yes, Ian, Lance and Margaret have all been long-term residents and active community members who will be sorely missed, and I'm sure all of our condolences go to their family. And it was also an honour on the request of Margaret's family to speak about some of her community activity with the City of Playford at her most recent funeral. So all 3 very, very, very good local residents who've done a lot of work for our community over many years. If there's no other councillors on that topic, we go to item 7, reports of representatives of conferences and training programs. I don't believe there are any. Questions without notice, are there any? Councillor Ryan?
Mayor Doherty, just a question really. Recently, the Lyell McEwen Hospital, the young doctor picked up the case of COVID-19 and the amount of pressure that that staff must be under. I'm sure there'd be a big percentage that live in the city of Playford, the hospital certainly in the city. I just wonder whether we could perhaps send a letter of thanks from the City of Playford to the work that they're doing, not only for the City of Playford but for the whole state.
There's no problem with that at all, Councillor Ryan. I'm sure the staff at the Lyell McEwen will be very grateful for that. It's been a very busy time. As you know, there's a number of us around this chamber that do a little bit of work at the hospital there, and I think it's fair to say the last couple of weeks in particular has been very trying for many, but I can honestly say that they're world-class physicians, nurses, doctors, allied health professionals and all staff and across SA Health right across the state. And while we might have our challenges at late with COVID, I don't think there's too many places in the world I'd rather be than South Australia, with the very dedicated professionals and community that have listened to the health and expert advice that we have here and are doing their utmost. I think if you look around the world and see what's happening, there wouldn't be too many other places I'd rather be, but we can action that, absolutely. Are there any other? Councillor Halls.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. We were out in the Prince George Plaza tonight, and I was noticing that the sign that is etched into the concrete called Windsor Green, it's not very observable, and I was wondering if there was some way that we could actually highlight that with some colour, those words, so that people know that it's actually there, because quite often it can't be seen.
Mr. Blom.
Through the chair, we can definitely look at some options about how we could highlight that, and colour may be one option, but we could look at some options to highlight that part.
Thank you. My second question is, could the Chamber be informed of the plan for the the signage for each of the suburbs that are beginning to deteriorate and where they are on the replacement list, please?
Probably Mr. Plom, but just to clarify, are you talking about suburb signing, i.e. Elizabeth Park, or are you talking about all suburb signing? Because that could mean
the
50
suburb signings
kilometres,
for Elizabeth
yep.
Park, Elizabeth
Yep.
North,
No, just so we're
Elizabeth
clear.
East.
Because suburb signing could mean 50k signs, street signs could mean anything. So just so that
I didn't know
staff
what
can-
else we called
Yep.
them, Your Honour, so...
That's all right. Mr. Blom?
Through the chair, I'll take that on notice. I don't have that information on hand at the moment.
Thank you.
Councillor Marsh?
No, apologies, that was from before, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Are there any other councillors with questions? If not, I presume the those that have asked questions would like them recorded in the minutes. So moved by Councillor Ryan, seconded by... Someone wish to second? Councillor Antoulis, does the mover and seconder wish to speak? I'm presuming there's no other people wishing to speak. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Questions on notice are in the notice papers for today's agenda. Item 10 is petitions. Item 11, which is nil. Deputations, representations 11, which is nil. Motions without notice. Are there any motions? Councillor Ryan.
Yes, Mayor Doherty, my motion is that the council donate $1,000 to the following organisations for Christmas food vouchers for people in need that live in the city of Playford. Anglicare, the Smith family, the Salvation Army, the St Vincent de Paul, the Playford Food Co-op, the funds that have come from the Civic Events Committee budget for Christmas events.
Not that I'd ever want to doubt you, Councillor Ryan, but I'm presuming that you'd like that $1,000 to preferably be spent on residents within the city of Playford, because it doesn't actually specify
I had that in
that.
my original motion, so and I have got it here actually. The need for Christmas food hampers for people of need that live in the city of Playford.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure that's clear. All right. We should speak to that.
As we know now, nearly every event that we had organised for Christmas has been postponed or cancelled. The need for our community out there is unbelievable. A lot of these charities that I've spoken to recently are dealing with people that they've never dealt with before because they're not covered by any sort of benefits at all. And my thought is that, you know, we moved a motion last month about putting some cheer and happiness out there amongst our community. Well, I think there's no better way where we can support our community. Doesn't matter what religion you are. These people in these groups are dealing with this situation every week. I know the organisation that I used to be heavily involved with and a regional chairman of, the St Vincent de Paul, they have never ever been so busy with food vouchers, furniture, you name it, because a lot of people have never ever been in this situation before they find themselves in now. I spoke to Lily from staff today. She assured me that the money was there for this to happen. I just think it's a good way to something really meaningful for Christmas for a few of these families out there that are really struggling. You know, there's a lot of other different ways I suppose we can do it, but we can't afford to play around with this. Christmas is 4 weeks away Friday, so this really needs to be acted on and acted on immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Is that fine as seconder? Is that Councillor Norris? Do you wish to speak?
Yes, I actually wish to, with the mover's indulgence, request or propose an amendment. I have spoken previously to this, that essentially we look at adding in the mustard seed family project. Do you want me to speak to that, or should we?
If the mover is happy and I seek leave from the meeting and leave is generally granted from everybody, then yes. If it's not by the mover, then I'll need to take a seconder which wouldn't need to be you if you want to then move a subsequent amendment. Are you happy with?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Is leave granted? Is anybody objecting to that? I'm not getting any objections, so we can add the next dot point F for the mustard seed project. If you're happy to second, you can speak to that.
Yep, thank you. Look, just to give some clarification on Mustard Seed Family Project, I recently went to Midway Community House. The mayor himself was there as well. It's essentially a group. Basically, they help out people in Playford. They are actually involved in other communities as well, but they look at getting their funding through recycling bottles and cans. If there are grants, obviously, they seek that as well. But so when we're at Midway Community House, they obviously were looking to provide food and hampers to people in need. They said they never turn anyone away. Obviously, there is a big need within our community for that. And I think just overall, I mean, Councillor Ryan's pretty much said everything anyway in terms of this, you know, it's been a crazy year. There are a lot of people out there that needed our help. There's probably even more so this year. And I just think this is a really good and honourable thing that we should do.
Thank you, Councillor Norris. Councillor Untitled.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I certainly echo the sentiments expressed by my fellow councillors. It has been a very trying and difficult year, so I certainly commend the motion moved by Councillor Ryan and seconded by Councillor Norris. Before I go further, I wish to ask a question of staff, if I may. In relation to the Christmas events that are no longer going ahead, I just want to know what's the amount of money that we are now saving as a result of those events not going ahead for this Christmas period.
Mr Green.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Rentoulis, unfortunately I don't have that information at hand. I guess if it's pertinent to this decision, you probably need to contemplate deferring it. However, I can find that out post the meeting and circulate it to elected members.
Thank you, Mr Green. Not necessary. The reason I asked that, it's $12,000. Okay. The reason I asked the question, so 6 organisations, $1,000 each. I certainly don't want to be now needlessly wasting money. This is not that. I suggest, with the indulgence of the mover and the seconder, we up that to $2,000. $2,000, 6 organisations, $12,000. That's the money that we've just saved. That money should go to a worthy cause. So with the indulgence of the mover and seconder, I wish to increase that to $2,000.
Mr Green just wanted to add something, but yep.
Through Mr Mayor, councillors, I can now confirm that $12,000 is the correct amount. I wasn't doubting Councillor Ryan, but I've had that confirmed. So $12,000 is the amount. Yep.
Sure.
So I will allow that as a variance if the mover and seconder are happy. Are they happy with that? Then I'll seek leave. Is anyone objecting to that? Then leave is granted, so we'll change that to 2,000.
I'm happy with that. That's it.
Councillor Small-Smith.
Yes, thank you very much. Look, I'm totally in agreement with that. The only thing I do have a question for Mr Green is it's not normal practice for the Civic Events Committee to donate money, so I'm just wondering how we can get around that.
Mr Green.
Thank you, through Mr Mayor. Good question, Councillor Smallwood-Smith. All the delegations that go to the Civic Events Committee come from the council, so ultimately the council can determine to allocate funds should it choose, so it's quite appropriate in this case that the council allocates the funds if it chooses to. It's actually not an issue for the Civic Events Committee because the council is presiding over this matter.
Councillor Reefy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got a couple of questions. Can staff advise how many of these organisations received grant funding from the City of Playford in the last 12 months?
Mr Green.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I don't have that information at hand, councillors. I unfortunately cannot provide that.
Councillor Reefy.
Second question, within our community development and events guideline, yearly income of an organisation with no more than $250,000, they won't be eligible for any of the grant funding. Can staff advise if any of these organisations are in that category?
Mr. Green.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, councillors, I don't have that information at hand, and I'd feel uncomfortable advising you, not knowing the detail of their financial situation. Obviously, one of those organisations is essentially us, being the Playford Food Co-op, so we know the status of that. I don't know the information around those other organisations.
Councillor Reevy.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, I think, as Councillor Smallwood-Smith mentioned, that it's not a good practice to be donating money to organisations. I understand that it's been a tough year for many groups, but there are many other organisations within our city who will be very disappointed if we pick and choose which organisations we're giving money to. So therefore, without any consultation with staff, we haven't got enough information in hand. I believe that we're not making an informed decision with regards to the COVID-19 impact. We did provide up to 1,000 grant, which was called quick turnaround grant for organisations to apply. I think that if these organisations are struggling financially, there is the state government $10,000 grant available for community groups, non-for-profit organisations. So I don't think that it is a good practice to be picking and choosing which organisations we're funding money, and we don't even know if they're meeting the guidelines within our policies that we have set. So therefore, I won't be supporting this resolution.
Councillor Stroud.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm repeating what Councillor Gay Smallwood-Smith said, but does the Civic Events Committee need to approve this donation, or are we just...
Right. Mr. Green.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Good question, Councillor Stroud. No, this is the resolution of the council if it's passed, and it doesn't need any ratification by the Civic Events Committee.
Thank you.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I think we've all been very much aware of what 2020 have brought to everybody in the whole country, and I think particularly to those people who are in much less fortunate circumstances than many of us today. And I wouldn't consider that is something that would have to be discussed under the criteria of the Civic Events Committee. I would consider this to be a one-off decision by the elected members of the City of Playford, that we are recognising those people in much less fortunate circumstances, and I would wholeheartedly support the recommendation.
Councillor Marsh.
Yeah, thanks for that. Mayor Doherty, what are the donations that we're making? Because the screen that I can see is split into four, so I can't see each of the names.
All right, I'll just read it out for the benefit of those on Zoom. So the motion that's currently moved by Councillor Ryan and seconded by Councillor Norris is that Council donate $2,000 from the Civic Events Committee Christmas Carols budget to the following organisation for the provision of Christmas food vouchers to residents of the City of Playford. They are A, Salvation Army, B, Anglicare, C, the Smith family, D, St Vincent de Paul, E, Playford Food Co-op, F, Mustard Seed Project.
Excellent. Thanks, Mayor Doherty. I do actually share Councillor Arifi's dot points and views on this. We have just handpicked a few, and there's probably many within our community over all of the wards, and let's hope that all of these cover every square meterage of the City of Playford. I feel comfortable in donating, yes, the $12,000 to those in need, and I support Councillor Rentaulis in upping it to the $2,000. I think this is a very ad hoc, on-the-spot selection. As our Councillor Arifi said, a lot of these are big players and receive large donations. Could I see an alternate next time where maybe we use our food co-op and put the whole lump sum into that and have the City of Playford donate, deliver and provide the service, yes, I think that would be better in the image of the city of Playford. I'll support this, but what I'm uncomfortable with is that we've chosen some big players, and I hope it's not covered up by the administration costs of these organisations, and every dollar that we've donated exactly goes straight to those in need. So I'll support it, but I think next time we probably need to have a good, thorough discussion on this, and maybe let's use the services that we provide already. And I think some of them probably want to already increase some expenditure through our food co-op.
Councillor Kerrison.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Doherty. Look, I've been giving this some consideration, and you know, my heart says people in need. I like to see the people in need supported. So, look, I think it's very well intended and very well founded for the consideration. However, I do share some of my Councillor Arifi and Councillor Marsh's sentiments. You know, I think being out there in the community, you know, I think everyone's been affected by the COVID-19 to some degree, and it's far and wide. So what's in my mind tonight is I'm sitting back here thinking, I know there's a lot of people who've spoken to me that they've been affected. All right, and then how are we representing all of our ratepayers? We've sat down here tonight and we've put up, it's a good idea, a good sentiment. We thought of 6 organisations. I'm not quite sure we've done this the right way. Yes, there's a need. Also, I think we need to consider avenues for these organisations, state government. Look, as much as I care for our community, we need to do what we can in our community. There's a large state government role here too. So how can I best represent all of our ratepayers in this decision? And that's what I'm struggling with tonight. Then I go on to consider $2,000 each of these organisations for food vouchers. Are they being given out in $50 vouchers, $200 vouchers? Who qualifies, who doesn't qualify? There's a range of unanswered questions for me. So I support this, but I think tonight I'd like, as much as I support it, I think I need to have more clarity before I support these funds going tonight in this manner. The other one that Akram Marifi rose, I think before we had Anglicare applying and they didn't qualify under our guidelines. Are they the same guidelines we should be considering in this motion tonight, or are they separate guidelines? Maybe if I can get some comment on that, that'd be appreciated.
Mr. Green.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as I read the motion, councillors, there's been no suggestion that this is part of a grant program or an ongoing grant program. It's a one-off suggestion, so therefore I don't believe any of our current program guidelines would be applicable unless you chose to make them applicable to this, in which case you could apply them. However, that's not what's suggested in the motion.
So yeah, at this point in time I'm still undecided, so when it goes to vote I'll have to decide one way or the other. As I say, really care for the community, people in need, but as I said, it's about representing all ratepayers in this decision, and it's a difficult decision. Thank you.
Councillor Norris, are you asking a question? Because you're the secretary who's spoken.
Just essentially wanted to point something out or ask a question.
You need to ask a question.
Do we need to stipulate that it's $2,000 each to each of these organisations? Because at the moment it kind of reads that we're taking $2,000 out of civic events and that's it. It's a play on words, but I'm just checking that.
Yeah, Mr. Green.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, councillors, I believe I'm clear on the intent of the motion, which is that if it was passed, $2,000 would be donated to each of those organisations.
Cool. Thank you.
You're asking a question, Councillor?
Question. So I just want to be clear in my mind. A question being that when we donate $2,000 to each of those organisations, is it indeed for Christmas food vouchers? Therefore, there's not going to be any wastage on administration, is there? We're going to. So the question is: are we setting $2,000 food vouchers for each of those organisations for residents of the city of Playford? So there's no wastage.
That's the intent, yes.
Through you, Mr Mayor, councillors, again, with the way the motion is currently structured, the way I would see it, should it be successful, is we would donate $2,000 to each of those organisations, and we would outline to them how we intended it to be spent, which was on Christmas food vouchers to residents of the City of Playford. I will say that without a binding agreement of any sort, we wouldn't have any control over that. We would be clearly pointing out that that was the intent of the donation. If you wanted to actually ensure that that's exactly what happened, we'd probably need to sign into some form of agreement with them to deliver a particular outcome, which would come with a different administrative burden. But I think those organisations, again, should this be successful, would receive the amount in the intent that it was provided from the council, and we would make it clear that how the council intended it to be spent.
Thank you, Mr Green. Just a follow-up question, if I may. I completely understand what you've just said, Mr Green, that unless they enter into a binding agreement, we can't guarantee that they will action in a certain way. We can follow it up though, can't we? We can certainly follow up to see how it was done, that they followed our intention. And if they haven't followed our intention, well, next time perhaps we won't be donating to them.
Mr Green.
Yes, councillors, we could follow it up, but without doing a more detailed audit of how their finances have been transacted over this period, we may not exactly know. But again, I would imagine these organisations would take this money in the spirit that it was intended and spend it accordingly. And perhaps just to head off the next question, with respect to the question that was raised earlier around would these be delivered in $50 vouchers or $20 vouchers or $100 vouchers, again, that would be up to these organisations the way I see it. We haven't stipulated that, and without stipulating it, I think they would have to determine what the most appropriate way was to provide those vouchers to the residents.
Thank you, Mr Green.
Councillor Craig.
Yeah, my thoughts, the motion's well intended. I'm sure these are all good organisations, but I take Councillor Arifi's point. We've really had little time to really thrash this out. We've got this difficult time frame now that we've basically got to make some decision whether the money goes or it stays with us. But I just wonder, it does raise a question for me, what if some of these organisations say, actually, we don't want your money? They might not have the capacity to deliver it. They may not be capable. I wonder whether, rather than saying Christmas food vouchers, we just say food vouchers, because maybe the money can't be distributed, the vouchers can't be distributed before Christmas. Some of these organisations might not have capacity because this is an imposition on their time. I'm just wondering, just throwing that out there as a question, or even whether, as an option, maybe staff could answer this, whether the food co-op could actually be the organisation that does the whole lot, and just basically, I'd imagine it'd be a call on our volunteers and staff to have to take that role on, but at least if we did it ourselves, then maybe it could be better managed and we would avoid duplication, and we might be a bit more well organised to actually make sure it's a distribution within Playford to Playford residents, but then I suppose then it raises the question, well, how do we decide who's a person in need and who's just someone who's heard there's vouchers to take? I'm just throwing it out there as just a thought. If it was an option, just that our food co-op was the distributor of these food vouchers, I think that might be a better way to handle it.
I'll ask Mr Green if that is available.
Thank you, through Mr Mayor. Councillor Craig, it's a good suggestion, and one of the things the council might want to consider is that the vouchers themselves that are provided to these organisations are to be redeemed through the food co-op. That is one way to do it, but it's up to you whether you choose to do that.
So, Councillor Craig, if you are thinking of that way, because you asked that question as part of your discussion, if you would like to move an amendment, I'll allow you to, because you're the one that raised that question and it can be done if you wish. Otherwise, if not, I'll just move on to the next person. Yep.
sorry. Turn
on. What if I flag that as a, what do I call it? I'll foreshadow if this fails that we that we distribute through the food co-op instead.
Okay, so you'll foreshadow it. Thank you, Councillor Craig. Councillor Tame, then Councillor Marsh.
Thank you.
Move that down.
Just wanted to...
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to work... While it's a formal motion, I did give the call, but it is a formal motion, so I'm going to have to go... I have to deviate to the formal motion being called. So we've got to move that the motion be put. Does it find a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Strowett, as it's a formal motion. Have you spoken, Councillor Strowett, on this item? So then you can't second no. Does it find a seconder? It lapses for a want. I've just called it lapse for a want of a seconder, Councillor. So it's lapsed for a want of a seconder. Councillor Tame.
I just wanted to see whether we could do an amendment. I've had a bit of a research and a look on this, and my question is, I've had a look at the food vouchers, the actual baskets, and the research, it shows Food Bank, Salvation Army, Anglicare, Playford Food Co-op, Mustard Seed and Playford Community Fund, if we're able to have them as the 6 rather than the ones that are up there, if that could be a possibility, because they do a lot more of food vouchers and hampers for the Playford, City of Playford. So if that could be the amendment.
The amendment to that. You'll have to move an amendment. It can't be a variance to that. It has to be an amendment. So
Okay.
Are you moving that way?
Yes, yes.
So what are you? Can you just reiterate?
So Food Bank, Salvation Army, Anglicare, so Salvo's, Anglicare, Playford Food Co-op, Mustard Seed and the Playford Community Fund. So it's everything except for...
I was just going to say, you are moving the first paragraph, which is actually to do it, and then you've got the other... Yep. So you're just changing the organisation. So yeah, that's too much of a variance. I need to have an amendment. I can't take that as a variance because you're taking names in and out, so the amendment's fine. So Councillor Tame, do you wish to speak to that any further to that amendment before I find a seconder?
Just basically with the research and everything, I've just had a look on everything, and a lot of the top places that do a lot of the food baskets and support for food, they were the main ones that come up, along with Mustard Seed Project, Playford Community Fund. I think that they are within the Playford community, helping support our residents. So they're the ones that I wanted to put forward and see whether that was a possibility.
All right, we have that moved as an amendment, so if you haven't spoken yet, then you can second the amendment. If you've already spoken, you can't second the amendment. So Councillor Onyazans hasn't spoken yet. Are you seconding the amendment, Councillor Onyazans?
No.
Okay. Do I find a seconder to the amendment? If I don't find a seconder to amendment, then the amendment lapses for the want of a seconder. If I don't get a councillor seconding the amendment, then the motion, or the amendment I should say, lapses for the want of a seconder. So we go back to our motion that was there. And I know Councillor Small-Smith and Councillor Marsh have already spoken, so there need to be questions.
I haven't spoken yet. So.
No, Councillor Onyas, I'm just saying I've got two lights for Marsh and Smallwood Smith, but they've already spoken, so I'll give the call to Councillor Onyazans, who hasn't
Yes, so
spoken.
could I make an amendment in relation to what Councillor Craig have foreshadowed already?
You can, because Councillor Craig's just foreshadowed it. So what Councillor Craig has done is, if the motion subsequent to any further amendment had lost, he could put his foreshadowed amendment. If you wish to move an amendment, which will be at significant variance to what's there, so i.e. we're not changing one word or we're changing the intent, we need to move an amendment, I can allow you to put that amendment.
Which was to put through a Playford Food Co-op. That was community. So Playford Community Fund.
So hold on, you're asking that there's a difference between the Playford Food Co-op, which is run by council,
I'm a little bit confused.
and Playford Community Fund, that's a separate organisation. So I just need to be clear what you're...
I'm sorry, could I ask Councillor Craig, which one was it that he used? Food Co-op.
Yeah, so
that's
Playford Council's Food Co-op.
I thought that was the one, yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying, so have you got some wording there, Councillor, on your hands or not?
Sorry, where are we now?
So
yeah,
you get some word. So the wording, I think, will be that council will donate $2,000 from the Civic Events Committee Christmas budget in the provision of Christmas food vouchers to residents of the City of Playford, which are distributed from the Playford Food Co-op or administered by, or through. Just hold on a moment, Councillor. I just want to get some advice from Ms Hudson and Mr Green to make sure that the actual practicality of this can actually work based on the motion. So just give me a moment.
This is getting absolutely ridiculous. We've spent half an hour on this.
All right, councillors, just getting some advice from Ms Hudson and Mr Green that they're happy with the potential amendment that is put by Councillor Onyazan, so that they're clear on how that would work in practicality and make sure that it's a viable motion. Councillor Onyazan, you can speak to your amendment if you wish. Councillor Onyazan, can you just whack your microphone on? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's all been said. I'm leaving it there, leaving it as it is.
Councillor Small-Smith?
I have a question. I'm getting very confused with this, and I would really like to know how the Civic Events Committee can donate money to be distributed through the Playford Food Co-op, which is owned by the council. Can someone please let me know what is going on with these motions?
Well, I'll hand over to Mr Green, but just the way I interpret it, and I think Mr Green will concur, is this is an appropriation issue. What we're saying, well, what the proposed motions and amendments are saying is that the money comes from the Civic Events Committee Carol's budget. It's not saying the Civic Events Committee goes around there and hands out the cheque and cuts a ribbon. It's saying it's coming from that allocated bucket of money. It's an appropriation issue, not a delegation issue of who actually distributes the money, because in all essence the money goes to all of Playford Council, whether that's the food co-op, the Civic Events Committee meeting, or it goes to Mr Blum's Asset Management Department. The money comes to Playford. The money's in Playford. How we allocate the money is how we budget it out. I'm correct, Mr Green, if there's anything else you wish to add. It's an appropriation issue, not a delegation issue of the committee.
I have a further question. In regard to it being distributed by the Playford Food Co-op, time's running out. How long is it going to take for the Playford Food Co-op to start distributing that money? I would have thought it would have been a lot easier to just send the cheques to these different organisations rather than third parties in it.
Mr Green.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillors, we haven't been able to turn our mind to how we deliver on this, and we don't even have a motion that's been passed yet. So if we get to that point, we'll have to consider how we can quickly turn this around to meet the intent of Council's motion.
All right, do we find a seconder for Councillor Onyazan's amendment? You can't, Councillor Halls.
That's right.
Yes, there are two members left, Councillor Gossink and Councillor Coppins. Okay, the amendment fails for the want of a seconder, so we're now back to the original, with slight variation, motion. Are there any other members who haven't spoken who wish to speak? Because if not, or any other questions? Councillor Marsh, do you have a question? Councillor Marsh, your light's on, do you have a question?
Yeah, my question was around about the food co-op. Are they equipped with supplying the catering needs if vouchers were given out?
I mean, are they able to do it pretty much?
Councillor Coppins?
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillors, again, we haven't had time to turn our attention to the delivery mechanisms around this motion. I have had some communication with relevant staff who suggested via our food co-op would be manageable, so I'll assume that that's possible. But again, until we're clear on what you want us to deliver, it's difficult to determine that.
Councillor Gossink, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Doherty. I call for the motion to be put.
We've pretty much run out of speakers anyway, so move that the motion be put. Does that find a seconder? Come on, Councillor Coppins, have your say. I think you're the only one. Yes, he's moved that the motion be put. All right. For those of you playing along at home, Councillor Coppins is waving madly. Curb your enthusiasm, Councillor Coppins. All right, Councillors, we've got the move that the motion be put, so I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried, so the motion is now put. So those in favour of the motion? Those in favour of the motion? So what Councillor Ryan had put up there? Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Division's been called. So we need to set that aside, and those voting for the motion. Voting for the motions is Councillors Baker, Ryan, Gossink, Onyazans, Halls, Rentoulis, Norris, Smallwood, Smith, Strower, Tame and Coppins. Is that correct? Just making sure I've got all the Zoom people right. Yep, okay, and that should leave the rest, which I think governance have worked out. Let me just quickly count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, that in the motion is carried. We still are on motions without notice. Are there any others? No, as we quickly move. Oh, Councillor Marsh, have you got your light on? Have you got something? No, good, thank you. We move on to motions on notice on page 9, which was a motion submitted by 3 councillors, Coppins, Marsh and Onyazans. So I'm not sure who wants to take the call. Councillor Marsh.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Doherty. This is a follow-on from the previous motion about the stormwater that Councillor Coppins put forward. I support the need for a further understanding of stormwater and how we manage it in our city, but I just don't support yet allocating any funding yet to an area that we know very little of. We moved this motion together to really get an understanding of what challenges the City of Playford has with our stormwater infrastructure and the installation, the size of our network, the various ways that stormwater is captured, controlled and released, local and state government's responsibility, why and how does federal and state contribute, and what does local government have to contribute towards. I'd also like an understanding of Council's water management system and how Council is using this as an investment. And a prime example is our current water infrastructure, our recycled water infrastructure that we have in our City of Playford. What is all that about, and how is that obviously returning a good investment to us? And number 6, as an example, what further stormwater treatments are required to address issues in the area of the Queen Street Smithfield, bordering on Main North Road, Charlotte Street, Anderson Walk and Gardner Terrace. The reason why I believe it's we need to have a bit of a presentation, it doesn't need to be an in-depth, high level. This just needs to be a couple of slides of an understanding of infrastructure that goes below the ground and that can cost tens of millions of dollars. I think we need to understand, where does that water go? Does it go to the Smith Creek? Does it go to the Gawler River? Does it go out to the Spencer Gulf? Do we capture it? And where do we use it within our City of Playford? I know that the City of Playford have drafted a stormwater management work plan and they wanted to bring that to us. I think that's 2 steps too far, and let's have a presentation. Let's get a good understanding of our stormwater system in the City of Playford, and then let's push on with then a thorough understanding of this draft stormwater management plan. That's the intent of this, and hopefully this will pass tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marsh. Is it fine to seconder? Councillor Onyazan, you wish to speak?
Yeah, so I agree with Councillor Marsh. The 6 topic points are a good starting point for future discussion on stormwater management in our city. And I like the fact that we can have a close look at the problematic area in Smithfield. So yeah, seconding the motion.
Any other councillor wishing to speak? If not, there's no need to close Councillor Marsh as there's no other speakers, so I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? I've got that carried. We then move on to item 14.1, Disability Access and Inclusion Plan 2020 to 2024 on page 11. Councillor Tame.
Yeah, I'd like to move the staff recommendation with an additional item.
Yes.
That council endorse a disability access and inclusion. Okay. Sorry. Administration prepare a report for council to consider the formation of a Section 41 committee with the purpose of addressing access and inclusion matters.
Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yes, please. And so there's a major need for support with all abilities, with footpaths, gutters, community events and NDIS struggles and concerns. For instance, today, Adelaide North Special School had an issue. HSO and SSO contacted me within urgent need of nitrile medical gloves, and I got in contact with the Shadow Education Minister, Blair Boyd, and he stepped up with Maine Palmer and kindly donated some medical supplies for the school. I think there's a huge need within the City of Playford to show a lot more in-depth support and a lot more commitment within the Disability Access and Inclusion Plan, and also having the knowledge of people who live day-to-day lives with disability to be a part of, you know, infrastructure and support within the City of Playford. So I'd like to move that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tamer. Does that find a seconder? Councillor Halls has the lights. I'll go to Councillor Hall. 2 lights and a couple of hands.
We were told to use lights, I was.
Yep, that's all right.
It's not a pretty light, but it's red. Yes, I would like to second that, please. I think that it's a very important step in this council's future evolution.
Thank you, Councillor Halls. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Marsh? No?
Yeah, if I can, thanks, Mayor Docky. There's obviously my understanding, I don't know a lot about this field, so I put a lot of my faith and trust in Councillor Tame, but the Disability and Inclusion Committee that already stands, is there then not a duplication of opening up another one? Is there ways of, I know this report may come back, but can we broaden the Disability and Inclusion Committee so that they're more of a stakeholder when infrastructure gets rolled out in the City of Playford? I'm guessing this is what Councillor Tame is meaning by this motion, that there's more of a say of infrastructure and projects within the City of Playford to strengthen the advocacy. Can it be done by the current committee and you put a little bit more power behind them?
It's a question for Mr Green. Mr Green.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Marsh. The short answer is yes, it can be done through the current advisory committee. What Councillor Tame is asking the council and potentially the administration to consider is whether we would put some more formalities around the governance of such a committee and actually have it reporting through to council, which is what a Section 41 committee would do. But there is no reason why we couldn't use the current advisory committee more in that capacity.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Are there any other councillors wishing to speak? If not, Councillor Tame has the right to close if she wishes.
Thank you. I just think with the Access and Inclusion Committee that we've had in the past, a lot of it does fall along the wayside. For instance, with Fremont Park, I went out and had a look at Fremont Park, and there were a few things that needed to be addressed and actioned on. Had we have had a bit more input from the start and continuous, there wouldn't have been a few details in the end that needed to be rectified and fixed. So I think having a more of a structured and stronger committee, and you know, with the section 41, I think having that, I think would be a lot more you know, formal. So yeah, no, I'm happy to do with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tame. I'll put the motions before us. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Move to item 14.2, ICAC Implementation Program November 2020. Find a mover. Moved by Councillor Ariki.
Move the committee recommendation, please.
Wish to speak or? Find a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Halls. Wishing to speak?
No, thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to speak? No. If there's no other councillors wishing to speak, then I will put that. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Item 14.3, adoption of the City of Playford Annual Report 1920. Councillor Arifi.
Move the committee recommendation, please.
Thank you. Wish to speak?
No, thanks.
Find a seconder. Councillor Onuzans.
Happy to second it, Mayor.
Do you wish to speak?
Thank you. No, thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to speak? If not, then I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Item 15.1, appointment of Deputy Mayor. Councillor Ryan.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Baker.
Okay, Councillor Ryan, before we do that, which is quite honourable that you will do that, but we do need to first work out whether we're actually going to have a Deputy Mayor first. And if we do, how long for? And then the process if a ballot is required. So are you happy to move the staff recommendation, Councillor Ryan? Does it find a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Halls. Does anyone wish to speak? So what we're doing is just moving the appointment position first, then we can get to individual nominations. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Runtolis?
So I'll second that.
Sorry. Yeah, it's already seconded by Councillor Halls.
You've already seconded.
Yeah. All right, we'll put that motion. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Now I can call for appointments. Councillor Ryan.
Councillor Baker.
Does Councillor Baker wish to accept the nomination? Hold on,
Thank you.
just, the light wasn't on. It's on now. Yep.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'd like to thank you for your confidence. As the Chamber's aware, I was put into this position for a reason, given my history in local government. And the previous 2 years have been probably the worst in my 35 years in local government. However, with the dedication of the new council, with 9 new members and the absolute commitment of our new CEO and executive staff, I feel that my job as deputy is now done. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you in this chamber for your confidence over the past 2 years. But I sincerely believe that it is time for transition, and we need to look towards the future, and probably my time is in decline if there's nobody else born after 1981. And so I therefore decline the nomination, but thank you.
Okay, Councillor Baker declines, and we should thank Councillor Baker for her service over the last 2 years. Thank you, Councillor Baker. Councillor Craig.
Yeah, here for that. I'd like to nominate Councillor Peter Rentoulis.
Does Councillor Rentoulis accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Are there any other nominations? If there is no other nominations, then we don't need a private ballot process. Councillor Rentoulis.
Am I permitted to speak, or do we have to?
Well, if there's no other nominations, you get the gig. So if you can speak if you want to, but if you speak now, there may be another nomination. So
If we put it to a vote, can I speak after that or not? Or was it done? Do I need to speak now?
You can speak now if you wish. I'm not getting any other mad reactions here. So,
right.
But I can't rule out anyone jumping in. But go for it.
All right. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Craig for the nomination and expressing his confidence in me, and I then want to also thank the current Deputy Mayor, Marilyn Baker. She's done a fantastic job over the last 2 years. Some of you may not know that Marilyn and I haven't always seen eye to eye, but I've always respected her, even more so as a result of the job that she did as the Deputy Mayor of the last 2 years. And the reason I say that, I'm not trying to blow her horn. The fact of the matter is we went through a very, very difficult time, a trying time. We had 9 newly elected members come to this chamber, so we were seriously depleted in terms of experience around this horseshoe. So I think it's fair to say that Deputy Mayor Baker put her hand up, probably reluctantly, at the invitation of this chamber, and she certainly held herself in fantastic stead. She was a rock in terms of supporting each one of us. I think we can all say that. We went through a very difficult time, and for Councillor Baker, if we also cast our minds back to the litigation phase, and I won't say too much more about it, but the time that we went through litigation, Councillor Baker, if you'll remember, all she was doing at the time was the bidding of this chamber, and because of that, she was personally sued, and that was a motion put by this chamber. She did nothing wrong. All she did was execute on the wishes of this chamber. So I reiterate just how good a job she's done, and I'd like to again congratulate her for that job. In relation to the position of deputy, assuming I do get it, I just want to say that I will do everything in my power to get around each and every one of you, to support you in your endeavours to make this city a better city, and to help each of your respective wards. I believe the hallmarks of a democracy are honest, open, and robust debate. I'm for that, but I also believe in respect for each and every one of the elected members, And I also believe that there's got to be respect for our staff as well, for the job that Mr. Green is doing, for the job the administration is doing. I remind you that we're here together. It's not an us versus them. We're here together. It's not administration and the elected members. We're here together. So I think if we continue to do that and just act in good faith, always being honest. If you make a mistake, own up to it, like I did. I remember a couple of years ago with Councillor Ryan, we got in some robust debate, and I overstepped the mark, and I apologised to Councillor Ryan, and he graciously accepted my apology, and I just raised that because I want you to know that's just an example. Be as vigorous as possible in the chamber, respect each other, but then at the end of the day, let's move on. Where we're here serving the community. So thank you. I hope to gain your support. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? If not, then Councillor Rentoulis is duly elected. Congratulations. All right, councillors, we'll move on to the next item, which is the appointment of Civic Events Committee. Someone wish to move the recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to support whomever is on the committee and the presiding member. I just wish to make a slight amendment, if I may. I want to. So, staff recommendation point 1 shall read: council appoints councillor as council member representatives to the Civic Events Committee for a 12-month term, and that the Civic Events Charter be amended accordingly.
Do we have to amend the charter?
And then the rest of that sentence can go, and the same would go into point 2.
Yep. Do you wish to speak to that?
Yes, I do. Thank you, councillors. Quite simply, the reason I wish to move that particular proposed resolution, is I want it to align with the other committees, Strategic Events, Services Committee. They have a term of 12 months. I believe this should have a term of 12 months, and the reason for that is quite simple. We want to give every individual in this chamber the opportunity to get onto those committees and to experience it for themselves. If you have a 2-year term, as is the current staff recommendation, that's awfully difficult. So I want to give more opportunity to the rest of the chamber. That's the reason for it.
Councillor Small-Smith, you seconding?
Yes, I am happy to second that, and I would just like to say that it has been a 2-year term for quite a long time, but I do agree with Councillor Rentoulis that there is an opportunity there in 12 months' time if someone else thinks that they might like to have a go. So, and all the other committees are 1 year now, so it's in line with those.
Any other councillor wishing to speak? If not, then I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. And then we need to seek nominate. We'll do it in 2 parts. First of all, we will seek the number of councillors, so the 3 that we've just approved. Then once we've got that out the way, then we'll, out of that number of 3, we'll appoint 1 as the presiding member. So the first vote is just in terms of finding the 3 members to get on the committee. So I'll take nominations. Councillor Rentoulis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I nominate Councillor Strollett?
Councillor Strollett, do you accept the nomination? Yep. Any other nominations? Councillor Halls?
Yes, I'd nominate Councillor Smallwood-Smith.
Councillor Smallwood-Smith, do you accept the nomination? Can you just hit your microphone, Councillor Smallwood-Smith? Just got to...
Yes, I do accept the nomination. Thank you.
Any other nominations? Councillor Onyazans?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Councillor Halls.
Councillor Halls, do you wish to nominate? Yes, Councillor Halls says yes to nomination. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Tools?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Ryan.
Councillor Ryan, do you accept nomination? Are there any other nominations? No, then councillors, as you would know, so just for councillors that are present in the chamber, you'll need to vote per our normal practice. In relation to those that are on Zoom, what's been done at other councils and which Mr Green concurs will be the item we'll do tonight is that the members who are on Zoom will need to text their results to Mr Green. The results will be checked in the process, like all the other ballots will be checked at the same time, and in relation to Mr Green and the next most senior manager will be present in doing those. So if we can have the two members do that, and I have conferred today they do have the right telephone number to do that. The members that are currently present will need to vote via their normal voting practice. Councillors, the nominations are Councillor Strowett, Councillor Smallwood-Smith, Councillor Halls and Councillor Ryan. If you could mark 3 of the number for those, then we can move forward in the voting. Right, councillors, we have a result.
Thank you, councillors. I declare the result of the vote that Councillor Ryan received 14 votes, Councillor Stroett received 13 votes, Councillor Smallwood-Smith received 12 votes, and Councillor Halls received 9 votes. So Councillors Ryan, Stroett and Smallwood-Smith are elected.
Congratulations, councillors. Now, councillors, we move on to the second part of that. So out of the councillors Ryan, Stroett and Smallwood-Smith, we need some nominations for the presiding member position.
Got it.
Councillor Baker?
I would move Councillor Smallwood-Smith.
Councillor Smallwood-Smith, do you accept the nomination?
Thank you.
Yep. Are there any other nominations for the other 2 members that have been elected? If not, then Councillor Smallwood-Smith is elected into that position. Thank you, councillors. We then move on to item 15.3, Murray-Darling Association or MDA membership and appointment of representatives on page 310. Somebody wish to move? Councillor Onyazan.
Yes, I wish to move the staff recommendation.
The recommendation, is it fine a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Halls. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Halls? No. Any other councillors wishing to speak? Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I will vote against that motion. I've studied the Murray-Darling Association over a number of years, and whilst the costs have been ever increasing, and I noticed it doubled last year, I honestly and sincerely don't see the benefit of it to the City of Playford, and I think that our membership could be well spent elsewhere with our dwindling dollars, and I really don't think that it benefits the City of Playford in any way, shape or form.
Any other councillors wishing to speak? If not, as there's been a speaker, Councillor Onyazans has the right to close if she wishes.
Could I have a question, please?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to hear from our CEO exactly how it does not benefit the council.
Mr Gray?
Thank you through you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, I haven't had a lot of time to give consideration to your question. The Murray-Darling Association has broadly represented the interest of obviously the Murray-Darling River system for a long time. Local governments right across the country, particularly southern parts of the country, have been involved. I haven't myself been closely involved with a number of their activities. I know a number of councillors in the chamber have. My general view is that the Murray River is an important waterway in terms of this state, and that we should give consideration to supporting organisations which are invested in what's in the best interests of the Murray River. And in that respect, historically, we have supported this organisation. In terms of direct value, sometimes that's a little bit more difficult to see where the direct value comes from. However, in a broad sense, I've been involved in a number of councils that have supported the Murray-Darling Association.
Thank you, Mr Green. As Councillor Onyazans has closed the debate, I'll have to put that motion. Those in favour? Those in favour of the motion that we continue on? Yep, so those in favour, raise your hands.
I am.
The
motion
councillors,
is...
the motion is, so Councillor Onyazans closed the debate. The motion is that we continue the membership and we appoint 2 councillors.
It's in front of us.
So it's the motion, the staff recommendation. So those in favour of the staff recommendation?
Yes, I am.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those against?
Division.
I've got to count the votes first. We're not in Louisiana. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The motion is lost. Division has been called, so the motion is set aside. So those that are voting for the motion. So we have Councillor Marsh, Coppins, Smallwood-Smith, Halls and Onyazans. The rest are voting no, so the motion is lost. We then move on to item 15.4, normal board membership. Anybody wish to move the recommendation, normal board membership? Councillor Halls.
Yes, could I make an adjustment to the amendment to 1 year, because everybody else finishes next year, and I think that it would be appropriate for everyone to be in line.
Well, yep, there's not an amendment yet because you're moving the actual motion, so you can adjust that for a duration of 12 months. Okay, is that fine? A seconder? Seconded by Councillor Tame. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Tame?
No, thank you.
No. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, then I'll put that. Those in favour? I need you to vote. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. Okay, councillors, we now need nominations for someone to be appointed to the normal board. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, in view of the fact that Ms Grace Pell was our representation on that on the board, and the fact that the normal board has only got 1 more month to sit for the year, and the fact that our new senior executive in that responsibility has only just come on board, I think it might be prudent to move a deferral for a little further consideration and perhaps bring that back in January. A comment from the CEO, if that's appropriate.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that would have been appropriate 60 seconds ago, but you just moved a motion to say that you're going to appoint somebody, so you've unfortunately missed...
But it doesn't say when.
Well... Yeah, you do need to undertake a nomination process. If no one was to nominate, that would leave us in a situation where someone might foreshadow an alternative motion to defer, perhaps, councillors, but that would be your only way to get through with the situation you're currently in.
Okay, all right. Given the given my speech just a moment ago, I won't nominate anybody, but I foreshadow an amendment.
Councillor Kerrison.
Can we not move a formal motion for it to lie on the table at this point in time? Yeah, but we can bring it back whenever.
Yeah, you call nomination.
Councillors, you have moved a motion that says you are going to contemplate appointing someone to the normal board. If that's not what your overall intent was, then perhaps don't nominate anyone. And Councillor Baker has foreshadowed another motion, but we still need to just see this motion through. So the Mayor will call for nominations and we'll see where that leads us. In the event you don't have any nominations, as I said, Councillor Baker may move her foreshadowed motion.
I call for nominations for the position of normal board. Councillor Marsh, are you nominating?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. I'm currently deputy, so I'm happy to jump on.
So Councillor Marsh is nominated himself. Which he can do, councillors. There's nothing wrong with that. Councillor Marsh can nominate himself. I'm surprised it took him this long. No, Councillor Halls.
I have a question.
Yes.
If Councillor Marsh gets up, do we then vote for a new deputy, or do we have to wait?
We will, but we can. That's not what's right in front of us at the moment.
Through you, Mr Mayor, councillors, just to remind you that Councillor Marsh is currently your deputy board member. If he was to be elected to be one of the board members, we would need to come back at a subsequent meeting to determine a deputy. Wouldn't be appropriate for us to have
I should have said something to
in our recommendation to nominate a deputy when we don't know who you're going to nominate for a board position.
So that's for future meeting if this is successful. Are there any other nominations? Are you nominating someone, Councillor Halls?
No, I'm happy to second Councillor Marsh.
He's self-nominated, so he doesn't. Self-praise is enough for this one. Are there any other nominations? If not, then Councillor Marsh is duly elected. Congratulations, Councillor Marsh.
Thanks.
We now move on to item 15.5, Budget Update Report. Moved by Councillor Smallwood-Smith.
Yes, thank you.
Wish to speak?
No, thank you.
I'll second that, please.
Good. Councillor Stroud, do you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Are there any other councillors wishing to speak? If not, then I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? I declare that carried. We then move to item 15.6, First Budget Review 2021, page 354. Moved by Councillor Stroud.
Yes, please.
Do you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Baker. Wish to speak? Any other councillors wishing to speak? If not, then I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? And I declare that carried. There are no informal discussions, no confidential matters, so I close the meeting at 8:43, and thank you for your attendance this evening.
Located in Monopara, the Stratton Centre